all. So today's topic is PCR, that is polymerase chain reaction, and molecular diagnostic techniques. So what are these techniques? Molecular diagnostic techniques, these are the techniques of molecular biology which are useful for the diagnosis as well as the treatment of the disease at molecular level. So these techniques, they deal with the molecular level, so that they deal with the DNA and RNA of the patient, of the case. Important tools that are required are enzymes, vectors, and hosts. So which are the important enzymes? Just remember the names of these enzymes, because these we will recurrently they will appear in the tools. So you should be able to recollect the names of these enzymes as well as their action. So number one is restriction endonucleases. This is the enzyme which is required for the cutting of DNA. Okay? So it cuts the DNA, whatever is our DNA, it cuts it into various fragments. And it is importantly used in the RFLP technique and the DNA fingerprinting. What are these techniques? I will tell you later on. Then another is DNA ligase. It is required for the connecting the DNA for the formation of phosphodiester bond. It is required for the DNA cloning. Then another is the DNA polymerase. It is required for the synthesis of complementary copies of DNA templates. It is used in DNA sequencing. And last is the reverse transcriptase. It is required for the synthesis of DNA from RNA, and which is used in the RT-PCR, that is reverse transcriptase PCR technique in the cloning. The vectors. What are vectors? Vectors are the carriers or the host chromosome which are used to insert the restriction digest containing the target DNA. So this target DNA is inserted into this host chromosome for the carrier. Which are these vectors? These are, number one is plasmid. Plasmid is the most commonly used vector. It is a small circular extra chromosomal piece of DNA. Another vectors are bacteriophage vectors, yeast artificial chromosomes, animal viruses, and the plasmidoviruses. Next is the host. Various hosts that are used are bacteria, that is E. coli is used, animal cells that are human cells or the embryonic cells, and the plant cells. Now coming to the first technique, that is PCR. This today's time of lockdown, in which corona is the hot topic. So you must be knowing there are very limited tests available for the diagnosis of corona. So now the most important and the confirmatory test for the available for this corona diagnosis is the RT-PCR, that is the advanced technique of this PCR. So it is the only confirmatory test available for the diagnosis of this COVID-19 is RT-PCR. So we will study what is this PCR technique. Basically, PCR means it is an amplification of DNA using multiple cycles of DNA elongation reaction. So you can amplify one DNA up to lakhs of times. So suppose you are having a single DNA or the RNA of any sample, then with this PCR technique you can amplify this DNA. Means you can make from one DNA you can make thousands or lakhs of DNA, which you can treat by some another technique and diagnose whether it is of the required type or not. So there are numerous uses of this technique that we will study. First, we will study how this PCR works. There are 3 steps in the PCR. Number 1 is separation. Number 2 is priming or annealing. Number 3 is extension. So in the first step, there is separation or the denaturation, in which the DNA strands are separated. These 2 DNA strands, they are separated by heating at 95 degrees Celsius. So you have to heat by up to 15 to 2 minutes. So the 2 DNA segments, they will get separated. This is called as separation. Now priming. Next step is priming or annealing. So these primers are annealed by cooling at 50 degrees Celsius for half to 2 minutes. So these primers, they hybridize with their complementary single-stranded DNA. So we have seen, we have DNA which is separated. Now there is primers, they will come and they will attach with the two strands of DNA. Now this extension, with the help of this primer, there will be extension of the two DNA strand. So this is a new DNA strands will be synthesized. The enzyme which is required is Taq polymerase. Now, with the help of single DNA, we have got the two DNAs. Now, these steps are repeated. Like after you got the two DNAs, now again on these two DNAs, there will be again separation, priming and extension. So at the end of second stage, you will get 4 DNAs. Then after the third stage, you will get 8 DNAs. So in each cycle, DNA strands are getting double. So at the end of 20 cycles, you will get 1 million times of amplified DNAs. This is a diagrammatic representation. Here you can see this is a DNA, basic DNA, whatever we are studying. So it is a double-stranded DNA. On heating at 95 degrees, there is separation or DNA, denaturation of DNA to form a single strand. So this is one single strand and this is another single strand which you got after the denaturation or the separation. Now you have to cool this at 45 to 50 degrees Celsius and primer is added. Primers, these are the small segments of complementary DNA. So for this strand, this is a complementary base pairing of the primer. So the primer is having the complementary base pairing. So we are adding the primer to these things. So that this primer will come and will get attached to their complementary bases. So this is the third step of annealing. Annealing of primers to each strands of DNA. Now, DNA polymerase, with the help of DNA polymerase, this primer will extend to opposite side. Here, this primer has extended to this side, this primer has extended to this side. So this is a primer extension and formation of two copies of DNA. Now here, up to this thing, one cycle of the PCR is completed. So at the start of this cycle, you had only one double-stranded DNA, but at the end of two cycles, you got two double-stranded DNA. These DNAs are the copies of the primary DNA, whatever we have chosen for PCR. Now, again, after this step, you will again repeat the first step, that is heating at 95 degrees Celsius, then again cooling, adding primer, then again extension of this strand. So, on processing these two DNA strands, you got the 4 DNA strands. Okay. So this cycle is repeated 20 times or more as per requirement, so that you will get the several copies of DNA. This is the amplification. In this, you can see at the end of 4 cycles, you have got 32. At the end of 5, double of 32, that is 64. At the end of 6, 128. 7, 256. So in that way, you can calculate how many DNA strands you will get at the end of 20 cycles. So in this way, from the single DNA, if you are having the single DNA of the patient, so from that single DNA also you can amplify it and get the millions of copies of DNA. So it is just nothing but the making the Xerox copies of DNA. So you are from the one DNA, you are making the millions of Xerox of DNAs, and these millions of DNAs you will study for their specification, and from that you can come towards the diagnosis of the disease or whatever is your aim of that study. There are lots of uses of this PCR, but we will discuss only few of this. Number one is basic biomedical research. So this DNA amplification is studied. It is required for the basic biomedical research. Whatever biomedical studies are going on, like studying of various viruses, various DNAs, various bacteria. So all these things they require All this biomedical research, they require this PCR technique. Now for the diagnosis of genetic disorders. So if there is some defect in the genetic structure of the patient, then you will get single defect in that genes that can be studied with the help of this PCR. Another is the diagnosis of infectious diseases. All the infectious diseases like HIV, tuberculosis, or COVID-19, all these infectious diseases, they are confirmatory diagnosed with the help of this technique. Then the diagnosis of drug resistance, again for the diagnosis of cancer and for the diagnosis of deciding the prognosis of that cancer or that malignancy, this application is required. Then for the evolutionary studies, if you have any single blood stain or a single DNA sample on somewhere, so from that single DNA sample, from that single blood sample, you can study it and you can see how the evolution has occurred. So it is importantly used in evolutionary studies. Again, for the forensic studies, forensic means for the medico-legal cases. This DNA, this PCR is studied in the testing of paternity. That is deciding the paternity of the patient, you need this study. Then for the studying the crime scene, if there is any crime, you must have seen in various series, there are very small proof is available at that crime scene, like simple blood stain or the hair follicle like that, or skin structure. So from that, you can study the DNA of that person and you can match it with the culprit. What are the culprits are there? You can match them with them, and from that you can come toward the confirmatory diagnosis of the confirmatory diagnosis of the for the studying that crime scene. Now, another thing is reverse transcriptase PCR. I have told you there are various advanced techniques of PCR. So of that is the RT-PCR or the reverse transcriptase PCR. All these things, whatever I am describing, all these things are done on the automated instruments and they are fully automated instruments. Okay, so this RT-PCR here, in previous PCR, you have seen, we have done the PCR from the DNA sample. Now in RT-PCR, mRNA is used. So this mRNA is copied to complementary DNA synthesis and then it is followed by the PCR. So in routine PCR, we have seen that DNA is tested. So this DNA can be living or be from the non-living thing. But in RT-PCR, mRNA is detected and this mRNA must be from the living organism. So COVID-19 is a RNA virus. So this is that virus can be tested with this RT-PCR technique. So by this technique, quantitation of number of virus present in the sample can be calculated. Most important use of this RT-PCR is to study the viral load, HIV infection and the HBV infection. That is B virus infection and the HIV infection. Again, it is used for the diagnosis of tuberculosis also. In tuberculosis, if the single acid fast bacilla is there, very minor infection is there, so it will not be appeared in the slide. It cannot be visualized with the acid fast chain. So for such patients, you need to use this RT-PCR technique. Another is the nested PCR. There are various modifications of PCR. I'm telling you the few very important is. This nested PCR is intended to reduce the contamination in products due to amplification of unexpected primer binding sites. Here, two sets of primer used in two successive PCR. So two side by side two PCRs are run, two sets of primer are used. The second set is intended to amplify the secondary target within the product of the first round of amplification. This PCR, it is usually asked as a short note in your final exams and it is generally asked in Viva also. So for that, you should be able to write down the molecular name of the molecular techniques, enzyme which are used, And what is PCR? The diagram, whatever I have shown you, how it is done, and the important steps in that diagram. You have to show the steps in that diagram. Then important applications. Whatever applications I have told you, that you have to write down. After that, you have to then mention the various advanced techniques of the PCR. RT-PCR you must mention in your short note. Without RT-PCR, your short note or your answer will not be complete. Now coming to the hybridization technique. That is the hybridization of nucleic acid. Hybridization means the formation of complementary base pairing between the single-stranded nucleic acid. So this base pairing can be between the DNA-DNA, DNA-RNA or RNA-RNA. Nucleic acid of interest are detected using a probe. That is the single-stranded piece of DNA that is specific for the DNA fragment of interest. Probe can be radioisotopically or non-radioactive isotopically labeled, but the probe must be labeled. Only when there is a complementary strand in the DNA, only that kind the probe can hybridize. So here I have shown you the diagram of DNA-DNA hybridization, in which this is a isolation. DNA is isolated from the sample. This is the gene of interest that you have to study. Now this DNA, it is separated. So you have got the single-stranded DNA. Now labeled DNA probes are added to this sample, and you will get the DNA probe will bind to the gene of interest. So this was our gene of interest to which the DNA probe has bound. So the complement is a single-stranded DNA, and in that probe, the complementary base pair will get attached. The mismatched DNA will not get attached to it. So this is the perfectly matched hybridized double-stranded DNA. And if the probe is the base pairing is not matched, then it will not match with the DNA, and there will not be hybridization. Now coming to the blotting techniques. Again, these blotting techniques are very, very important. They can be asked in your short note. So these blotting techniques are asked as a short note and commonly asked in Viva. Again, these are the MCQs also. There are three types of blotting techniques. So which technique is used for the DNA, which is used for the RNA, and which is used for the protein? It's a very important MCQ which is most commonly asked. The first blotting technique is Southern blot technique. It is used to detect specific segment of DNA based on the specific base pairing properties of complementary nucleic acid strands. Now, this Southern blot technique is used in the detection of genes in genome. It is used for the detection of mutations. You must be knowing what are mutations. Then again, for the diagnosis of various infectious diseases, DNA fingerprinting, and to confirm the product of PCR. We have got the DNA in PCR, amplified DNA. We have got these DNAs are studied, confirmed with this Southern blot technique. Now genomic DNA is isolated. This isolated DNA, there is digestion of DNA with specific restriction enzymes. There is electrophoresis of DNA is done, and on this electrophoresis DNA is separated. It is transferred from gel to nylon membrane, and then there is hybridization of DNA with labeled probe, and signal you will get the signal from labeled hybridized probe, and the probe is radioactively labeled or another thing, labeled with the fluorescent dye or anything. So from that you will get the signal. So this is a Southern blot technique. Then the Northern blot technique. Southern was used for the DNA. Northern is used for the RNA. It is used for the detection of specific RNA. So the total RNA is again isolated from the cell. Again it is electrophoresis is done, and then they are blotted on the membrane. Here you will be doing DNA, RNA, DNA hybridization. Now, this is again used to detect and quantify the RNA of the study gene expression in the tissue. So this is the RNA, isolation of RNA is isolated, electrophoresis is done, it is transferred on the nylon membrane, and hybridization with DNA is done. If the complementary base pair is available, you will get the signal from the labeled group. Then last is Western blot analysis. We have seen southern, northern, and the western. Western is done for the identification of proteins. So it is a technique. Proteins are identified, nucleic acids are not identified with Western blot techniques. And again, Western blot technique is the confirmatory analysis for the HIV infection. Most commonly asked MCQ. So the proteins are isolated from the tissue. Same way, their electrophoresis is done, and they are transferred to nitrocellulose membrane. And it is probed with the radioactive antibody and autoradiograph. Now, this technique is very, very useful to identify specific protein and thereby showing the expression of particular gene. In this diagram, I have compared all the three techniques, that is southern blot, northern blot, and the western blot. Southern is done for the DNA, northern is done for the RNA, and the western is done for the protein. All the things are, first electrophoresis is done, then they are transferred to the respective membrane. Probe is added, single-stranded DNA, complementary DNA probe is added for the DNA and RNA. While for the protein, you have to add the primary antibody to the specific polypeptide. And as the result, you will get the specific DNA will be in the southern blot technique. You can diagnose the specific DNA. You will identify the specific mRNA in northern blot, and specific polypeptide is identified with the help of western blot technique. Now, another is the microarray technique. This is commonly asked for the short notes. In the microarray technique, there are DNA probes of about 500 to 5000 genes are prepared and added to very small wells in polystyrene plates. This is a polystyrene plate in which wells are there, in which DNA probes are added. So DNA is prepared from the patient's tissue, is added to each well, and it is hybridized. So fluorescence is assayed, and the activity of various genes can be identified very quickly. Use of this microarray technique, it measures the changes in the expression of levels of many genes, and it is useful to identify the gene polymorphism. This is a microarray technique, but just to remember where it is used. If you get the red mark, means there is diminution of the gene activity. And if there is a green light, means there is increase in the genetic activity. Another thing is DNA fingerprinting. We should be able to tell the at least names of these various techniques in the Viva, which are the various techniques, molecular diagnostic techniques that are available, and what are the specific uses of specific technique. The specific DNA fingerprinting is most commonly used for the dispute, to settle down the disputes of parenthood, that is for the study of the paternity. DNA fingerprinting is most common. Hello. You want to say something? Not able to hear you. 44 roll number. 71 roll number. So the DNA fingerprinting, it is the technique used to pinpoint the culprit of the crime. It is also used to settle the disputes of parenthood. So DNA can be isolated from the blood or the semen sample present over the crime scene. You can use this technique after several years of the crime also. So this is very important technique. Now another thing was RFLP, that is restricted fragment length polymorphism. This I have told you in the first slide, that is of the enzymes, various enzymes. So for the first enzyme, it was used in the RFLP, that is restriction fragment length polymorphism. What is it? So in human genome, there are variations of base sequence that are present. but these variations, they do not affect the phenotype of the patient or the person. So property of the molecule to exist in more than one form, it is called as polymorphism. Another term is mutation. You should be able to differentiate between what is mutation and what is DNA polymorphism. So if more than 1% of the population has particular alteration in the sequence, then it is called as polymorphism. If only few individuals have it, then it is a mutation. Polymorphism is a normal variation and it do not have any deleterious effect on the patient. While mutation is abnormal and it can sometimes lead to defective functioning. Like mutation in the sickle cell anemia, thalassemia, all these are the mutations which can lead to various defects in the lifestyle of the patient. So there is difference between the polymorphism as well as in the mutation. So in this RFLP, you have to study the polymorphisms uses. It is used for the diagnosis of various genetic diseases, to study the cloning of mutant gene, and it is useful for the genetic counseling. Nowadays, genetic counseling is very important part. So it is useful for the genetic counseling. So what exactly done in RFLP? Here, the blood sample is taken. WBCs are isolated from the blood sample and the purity of the DNA tested. Now these DNAs are digested by restriction enzymes and the fragments are separated by the electrophoresis. These are using the Southern blotting, these DNAs, they are transferred to membrane. To the membrane, DNA, labeled DNA probes are added and hybridized, and you can analyze the DNA profile of the patient and you can study the polymorphism. So this is done for the genetic counseling. Genetic counseling means you have to analyze how many future generations, how many percentage will be affected, siblings of the patient will be affected due to this mutation of the polymorphism. Then there is single nucleotide polymorphism, SNPs. It is also called as SNPs. So at SNPs, these are the substitutions of one base at precise location within the genome. Those that occur in the coding region are termed as SNPs, complementary SNPs. And SNP can occur once in every 300 bases. So approximately 10 million in human genome. These differences can account for differences in the disease susceptibility, drug metabolism, and response to environmental factor between the individuals. This is a single nucleotide polymorphism. SNP may or may not be associated with disease condition. So in this example, it has led to hemophilia. You can see in this example, it has led to hemophilia. Now, single standard conformation polymorphism, that is SSCP analysis. A single nucleotide polymorphism of either thymine or cytosine lead to different single standard conformations of DNA, which results in different mobilities in the electrophoresis. Now, that is, just remember the name of these things. You should be able to write down the name of these techniques. That is, HPLC, you have chromatography, you have seen. The variation is the denaturing high performance liquid chromatography. It is to screen the genes for various variation. It is used to detect the single nucleotide substitutions or small insertions or deletions. It can identify DNA fragment that contain the sequencing lesion, but DNA sequencing is required to confirm the precise nature of the mutation. This is a denaturing DHPLC, in which is a form of ion pair reverse phase chromatography, in which nucleic acid can be found to hydrophobic column. The affinity of this interaction is dependent on the size, nucleotide composition, and the column temperature. Under the non-denaturating conditions, the interaction is almost completely dependent on fragment size. It is possible to accurately quantify the size of PCR fragments. At high column temperatures, double-stranded DNA is completely denatured into a single strand The elution from the column is dependent on both size and sequence. It is generally performed under the partially denatured conditions. It has been demonstrated that for short fragments, it is possible to separate all nucleotides differing by a single base. Then another is a protein truncation test. It is not much useful to you. Just remember the name of this test. And the DNA sequencing, in which you can sequence the DNA base pairing. It is a DNA sequencing. This is DNA sequencing. Then there is a next generation sequencing. It is a form of high throughput sequencing technology, and with the help of this, the whole human genome can be sequenced within a single day. So it is the next generation sequencing. So this is about the molecular diagnostic techniques and the PCR. You should be able to name the techniques, the specific uses of that technique. Short notes are possible on the PCR, in which, and the blotting techniques, in which you have to write down the details of these two techniques, and MCQs can be there. Again, these techniques can be asked in your cabin biogas also. This is all about the PCR and the molecular diagnostic techniques.
Thank you, ma'am.
sir.